Hey you guys, I am jumping on to make butter and mayo, and I thought you guys would like to see it be done since you guys like the bread and stuff. So we gotta have homemade butter for our homemade sourdough. So I'm gonna just make some butter really quick. This is actually gonna go bad this next week. I don't have any recipes I'm planning on using heavy cream, and I have another one in the fridge, so I'm going to use my heavy cream to make butter instead of having it go bad. I buy it all the time for this reason, because I make butter, and if I don't use it in an actual recipe, then I can make butter out of it. So I don't mind buying it, and you can get it on sale. If it's on sale, I buy a lot of it because I can make a lot of butter then. Hey Tina, hey Renee. Thank you for sprinkling. I appreciate it. It helps me a lot. So homemade butter is super easy. You can make it with no salt, or you can make salted homemade butter. I prefer salted, so I am gonna add a little salt in here. But my mixer is like, I think it's like close to 25 years old, and I'm using it until it dies. So it sounds really horrid, but it's my first KitchenAid mixer and I can't let it go yet. So it's still going, 25 years strong. I think it's about done. It's on its last leg. So I'm sorry for the jet engine that you're about to hear, but it still works when it does what I need it to do. So you want to have heavy whipping cream, and you really want it over 4 grams of fat, saturated fat in there. This one's 3.5, but this still actually comes into a butter, and it's cheaper, so I use it. Just takes a little bit longer to actually get to the butter stage. Not very long, but still a little bit longer. So I'm gonna just pop this up, and I'm just gonna pour it in my bowl. Now you can make, I'm splattering it everywhere. You can make butter in jars too if you feel like shaking it. I prefer to use my mixer because obviously it's a lot easier that way. But like I said, my mixer is like 25 years old and it's ready to go. But I'm going to use it until it completely dies because these bad boys are expensive. So I'm going to turn it on. And I'm going to turn it up to about a 4. Hey, Connie, how are you today? So we're going to mix it, and as it develops and starts getting into more of a different stages, I'll show you each stage that it's at before it turns to butter, and then obviously we're going to do more. So I'm going to let this go. Hopefully not in the middle of a recipe. I know, right? So I'm going to be hand mixing, but it definitely is ready to die on me. And I'm going to be so sad because I love this thing. It's like my favorite mixer. But it's really done a good job for me. I've made a lot of stuff in this mixer. Just really loud. So we got that going, and I'm also going to make the mayo, but I'm going to, since this is so loud, I'm going to let this go, and we'll just make our butter, and then we'll do the mayo so you guys can actually hear me. Maybe you can have it rebuilt. I know, but it's probably just better to buy a new one at this point. Hey, Angela. Like I said, I've gotten 25 years out of it, so it's like, I really, it's been worth its money, for sure. Hey, Susan, how are you? Welcome in, you guys. We are making butter. In a mason jar, yes. Yep, you can make it in a mason jar. You just have to really have good arms to shake the jar for a really long time. But it's fun for kids to make butter in mason jars. So I always, like I said, I buy a bunch of heavy whipping cream. Always, it's always on my grocery order. And if I don't use it in a baking recipe or something, a sauce, I just right before it's starting to go bad, I make it into butter. So it never goes to waste. So my whole goal this last year was to really work on food waste, because, you know, food's expensive now, and I have a really big family, and so really trying to make sure that we're using all of our ingredients that we have, because, you know, it's expensive. And if I can make something out of something that was going to go bad, I would much rather do that. So that's what we're doing. We're making butter. But I use heavy whipping cream in a lot of my sauces too, my white sauces, so I'm always using it. Hey Joshua! How are you? Welcome in. You need dairy-free now? So I'm actually lactose intolerant, which is really funny. If you need dairy, well, dairy-free is not necessarily lactose-free, but I want to show you something because if you can't have milk, this is what I drink. It's actually banana milk. It is the best stuff ever. And my favorite thing is Raisin Bran with fresh bananas on top and this banana milk. It's like to die for. It is so good. But I am lactose intolerant. Milk, anything liquid, dairy, no go. But if it's store, now I can do raw, like fresh, but and it's not as bad. But if it's in the solid form, I can do it. So yogurt, milk, ice cream, all of it's out. But this stuff, this is my milk. I love this stuff. I like almond milk too, but this banana milk, I don't know. It's like to die for. So, well, maybe not to die for, but it's better than like oat milk. She's lactose intolerant. She might like the banana milk. I'm really picky. I like sweet stuff. And hey, Betty. Hey, Jim. But yeah, it is really good. I really like it, especially for kids. So, but yeah, that lactose, man, it will take me out in just a little bit. But I can eat cheeses because it's processed differently and it's aged, so cheeses are fine. But liquid butter, I can do butter. But like I said, liquid milk and all that, nope, not happening. How are you, Betty? We are making homemade butter, Rita. So all you need for homemade butter is heavy whipping cream. I buy it all the time, but I use it in my sauces and stuff. So when it's about to go bad, if I haven't got to use them all, then I just make it into butter. But we just made fresh bread, so what's better than fresh butter? So you can make it unsalted or you can make it salted. I like both, but I already have unsalted in my fridge, so I'm going to make salted batch. Salted batch. So you basically just put it in your mixer and you let it go, and eventually, once it gets mixed going, you'll start to see yellow in there. And that's actually the butter starting to pull away from the milk, the buttermilk. As the process goes, I'll show you each stage of where it's at. Once it actually turns into butter, it's quick. So, and then I'll show you how we squeeze it out and how easy actually making butter is. And then after we're done with this, which won't take very long, we are gonna make homemade mayo. I needed some ingredients, so yes, Angela, me too. Instantly. So you really want it over 4, as far as the saturated fat, you want it over 4. This is actually a 3.5. It takes a little longer to get to butter stage, but it will actually turn. Ideally, you want like a 5-6, because it's like really fatty, but this one actually will turn, so, and it's cheaper, so I buy it. Do you have to have that paddle to make butter? No, you can pour heavy whipping cream in a mason jar and shake it until it turns to butter. You just have to separate it out. So you don't have to have any special equipment to make butter. I prefer using my hand mixer because I don't really not strong enough to shake butter in a mason jar for a very long time. So, and I make a lot of batches of it, but I might end up needing to put it in a mason jar if this mixer dies on me. But so far, 25 years, still going, just really loud. Oh, you made butter with your grandma years ago? Oh, that's so cool. I'm hoping that my kids will like take some of this and use it. No, can you regular? Yeah, you can mix it in any mixer. You just have to beat it long enough, and you want to use a whisk if you're gonna mix it. This is just a whisk attachment on it. You can even do it in a bowl. So yeah, it's super easy. So we're just letting this go. I was gonna do the mayo at the same time, but this is really loud, and I don't know if you'll hear me or not. This poor guy, he's had a rough life. Hey Freddie, we're making butter. I did use the entire carton. You can use however much you want. You don't have to use the entire carton. You can do like half. I would probably do at least half of your carton, or like one of the littler ones. But I have 5 kids and a granddaughter, so we use a lot of stuff. So usually I use a whole thing. It does take longer to mix though when you put more in it. And we're gonna add salt to this here in a little bit. It's starting to thicken up a little bit. Kind of goes through the stage of like actually making into whipped cream. It gets a little bit thicker, and then once it starts to go, I'll show you what it looks like. You can see the yellow in it, and then you'll see, watch it turn. And it could be really messy if you're not paying attention to what stage it's at and it turns, because that buttermilk is going to go flying everywhere if you're on a high speed. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to where you're at, or you'll be covered in buttermilk. You are way too young to have a granddaughter. I have a granddaughter. She will be 7 in June, and she loves to bake with Nana. But thank you. I'm a young Nana. I say I'm a young Nana. I became a Nana at 35. Hey, Jody. All right. You can maybe stir out for a second. I just don't want to be this fast when it turns, because I'm not gonna lie, I've actually had it turn unexpectedly, and I was head to toe covered in buttermilk. I prefer not to be covered in buttermilk. That would be bad. It's not even turning quite yet though, so we are good. And you don't necessarily want to over whip it either, because if you over whip your butter will be harder to like get out of the container. If you catch it right at the beginning, your butter will still be soft. So it's all about learning what you're doing, I guess, per se. I should have put my hair back, you guys. I'm gonna tuck it in my dress here. What am I gonna make? My dad makes moonshine. I let him have that one. Maybe someday I'll make moonshine. My favorite moonshine is apple pie. But I don't know how to do it, so maybe someday. But see, you can see it's getting thicker. Freddie, do you want to teach me how to make moonshine? And maybe I can bring some to my dad? That would be really cool. Whenever I go to my dad, he wants homemade butter, he wants cookies, and he wants sourdough or bread. That's what he asks me every time I'm going to come over to his house. So we usually make him butter and bread and cookies before we go there. I'm not seeing any yellow yet. But I know we're getting close. And you guys can separate out your buttermilk from this, and you can use it in your recipes as well. Maple and bacon moonshine. Oh, that sounds amazing. So now we're kind of at a whipped cream stage. So we have to get past the whipped cream stage here. And pretty soon you'll start seeing like streaks of yellow. And that's the butter separating, and I'm seeing it. I don't know if you guys can see this. I don't know what you're actually seeing. You'll start seeing streaks of yellow in there. Can you guys see the yellow coming through a little bit? There it goes. I'm going to be ready, you guys, because this thing is going to go in. I'm going to put my hand on the off switch. You start seeing the yellow color coming in. Let me grab. Make sure we. Sorry guys, I'm probably shaking you all over the place. I want you to see though. Okay, it's starting to go. Guys, I'll look at comments in just a second. You'll start hearing sloshing, and that's actually the buttermilk starting to separate. I'm gonna end up covering this all in butter here in a minute. Going into that second stage where the buttermilk's starting to separate out now. She does. Yep. We made a mother-in-law in our basement. My grandmother was born in 1910. She showed up as a kid cracking ball mason jar by shaking. Yes. I actually had my kids do it. That's awesome. Okay. You should be getting close here. Definitely getting separated. It's getting a lot heavier. You can see it sinking down further. And they're separating. You're gonna be ready. All right. Whew, that was really loud. So you guys, we have our butter separated out into our, there's buttermilk in the bottom. I'll show you in just a second. I'll pull it out so you can see. Once it gets going, you don't realize how loud it actually is, and you're like, whoa. So we got butter in here, and then we have buttermilk right down in there. So you can actually save the buttermilk and use it in a recipe as well. But we are going to scrape this out, and we are going to squeeze the butter. So I'm going to put on my gloves. Now, crazy enough, you actually rinse the butter from the buttermilk. If you leave any buttermilk in your butter, it will actually mold from the buttermilk being in there. So you want to make sure that you squeeze all of the buttermilk out of your butter so it lasts a lot longer. If you don't, then you will have, your butter will mold a lot faster. So I'm just pulling this out here. Let me grab. Follow the face. Okay, so we're gonna take our butter off. So we have our buttermilk. Move this over. We have our buttermilk in there and our butter. And all you're gonna do is I need like an over camera so you guys can see what I'm doing. You're gonna take, obviously you wanna leave this is all buttermilk that you can use. So you're gonna basically squeeze the butter, because there's little butter particles in the buttermilk. So you wanna squeeze it where you're getting all the butter out of the buttermilk. You can also strain it after. I like to get like the big chunks out, and then I'll strain my buttermilk with a fine strainer. But you're basically just trying to pick up as much butter out of the buttermilk as you can. And the best way to do that is with your actual chunk of butter, because connect due to pour. I lost my internet, you guys. Are you here still? Oh, good. Oh, that's so cool, Jody. Sorry, guys. I lost my connection. Okay, so I'm just getting out as much butter as I can out of my... Yay, I'm glad you guys are still here. I was like, oh no, it went blank. So I'm just plowing away getting this butter out of the buttermilk. I don't want to leave any in the buttermilk, because whatever gets left in the buttermilk just gets strained out. And we might as well save the buttermilk, right? Okay, so what I do is I squeeze my butter. Because this is good buttermilk too, right? So, and if you guys ever need having whipping cream, if you take butter and add a little bit of whole milk and mix it up, you can get heavy whipping cream. So you can do the opposite. Okay, so now that I got most of it squeezed out, I don't feel any big butter chunks in here. We are gonna come into over here. I'm gonna kind of put you by my sink a little bit. Don't mind my dishes. So I'm gonna keep squeezing. And I'm actually gonna break off a chunk of this. And I like to do this in littler chunks. just to make sure that I have all of my buttermilk squeezed out. So you can see it just keeps coming out. So you want to make sure you squeeze all that buttermilk out, because we don't want our butter to mold quick. And then I like to put it into a ball. And then you just give it a rinse. And then squeeze. And then rinse and squeeze. I'm gonna grab another little container without knocking you all out. I like to use these little guys. I can get it undone with my gloves on. These little containers, they're like perfect butter containers. And then I just squeeze my butter in the bottom of it, like so. And then do my next round. Hey, Rebecca. Does anybody make their own butter right now? Or was it just a pastime? Guys, even butter is expensive. Everything's expensive right now. It's crazy. So rinse and squeeze. When my water starts coming clear when I squeeze, I know I got the buttermilk out. I have not made my butter yet, or my mayo yet. I am just finishing up the butter here. That is next. And that is really quick. I don't make a lot of mayo at one time. Homemade mayo actually does not last as long as like a normal mayo, unless you put more vinegar in. But the vinegar actually makes the taste a little bit different. So you end up using a lot more different spices and stuff. So I just like to make it and then just use it for that week and then make new. Mayo is kind of scary because it has raw egg in it. So you want to make sure that, and mayo doesn't always separate and show you that it's bad, but it can make you really sick. So you have to really be careful with mayo. So I make smaller batches of mayo. Welcome back, Renee. We're just squeezing out our butter. You're amazing. I wish I had all the energy for all the things aw. You know, it's really just supporting my family. So, I have a big family and lots of kids, and so we really trying to save money on groceries. And we also have, I know some of my newer followers don't know, but we have a lot of autoimmune diseases. My husband has psoriatic arthritis, and my youngest son, who's going to be 11, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when he was 3. I'm also a cancer survivor, so we don't necessarily eat healthy, but we eat clean. We do a lot of homemade ingredient foods that don't have the preservatives in them. That is what really is bad for you. But we make cookies and cakes and all the stuff. My husband's on a chemo med each week, so makes him kind of ill. So we try to eat his husband. You have lupus and RA. Oh, Cindy, that's hard. I was actually tested for lupus. They thought I had lupus as well. It's a lot. And RA is pretty much the sister to psoriatic arthritis, so I know that one well. But a lot of it's the preservatives in the food that really gets ya. So if you can actually make your own and grow your own and that sort of thing, you know, you can still eat the good stuff. You just are eating more clean ingredients. Your food doesn't last as long because it's fresh. But man, having fresh food and butter and the taste difference, it's crazy. And how you feel after you eat, it's pretty cool. It's been a cool learning experience, and I'm not anywhere close to being where I want to be. But I'm hoping that someday I'll get there. I'm trying anyways. Trying. Okay. This one had a lot more buttermilk in it. Must have been the one that was catching it all from it dripping down. Oh, Cindy, thanks for sharing too. Well, hang out because we'll do lots of cool stuff that maybe you can use yourself and it will help you. Okay, so one more rinse, one more squeeze, and we'll call this one good. Hey, Teresa! All right, so I'm just gonna squeeze this in here. But yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing like how bad our food is once you start learning, and even like our cleaning products, what we put on our clothes and we wear them all day. It's crazy. So I'm squeezing this down, and basically I am just squeezing it into this container as flat as I can get because I'm going to get some moisture on the top, and then I'm just going to shake off that extra moisture. But here you are, homemade butter, ready to eat. And I just put a lid on it and put it in my refrigerator, and you are good to go. Okay, so now we're gonna make some mayo. So let me put my gloves away really quick. Okay. Now that I got stuff all over me. So what we are gonna do is I'm just gonna take this little cup. Do you eat raw cheese? There is some cheeses that I eat that are raw. I actually really want to make my own cheese, but I haven't learned how yet. But that may be something that we can all do together and learn how to do together. That would be pretty awesome. Let me grab a cutting board and a knife. So, I don't know if you guys can see. There we go. So I'm just cutting a lemon in half because I want 2 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice. And I don't know, I might have to do this over the sink. We're gonna give it a go. Now this is actually what preserves your mayo, is the lemon juice. I'm getting it all over the counter instead of in there. Oh, we lost a seed. Let me pull that out. Get out of there. There we go. So there's one. that seed's gonna go. Two. And then we are gonna do 1 large egg. Right in there. And we're gonna do a half teaspoon of salt. So a half teaspoon of salt. I was hoping you were going to say you make your own cheese. Well, we can do it together, Cindy. I do want to learn how to do it. So we'll just do it together. Now, normally I would use white pepper, but I don't have white pepper. So I'm going to use black pepper. So you will see pepper flakes in this one, but if you just do white pepper, you won't actually see the pepper in your mayo. And we're going to do a half. Actually, no, we're not. I lied. We're going to do 1/4. 1/4 of the pepper. And then we're going to do 1/4 of ground mustard. So my daughter is graduating in May as a chef, as you guys know. And she knows how to make cheese. So we will recruit her to help her make a cheese. I do have, we will come live and we will make fresh pasta, and tortellinis and all of those things too. So I'm just gonna put these in here because I'm gonna use them. I'll move this over. And then we want 1 cup of olive oil. Now, you can use canola oil or any of the other oils. They're not as good for you. Olive oil is going to give your mayo a rich flavoring, though. So if you don't like rich flavors of mayo, you might go a different oil route. And I lost... Oh, I must have used it on something else. Hold on. And we need 1 cup of olive oil or oil of your choice. I don't mind the olive oil, so. So yeah, and then Kaylee's gonna come over once a month and she's actually gonna teach us how to do all the things. Did you guys, did I put my salt in here? Do you guys remember if I put salt in yet? I don't think that I did. You could use avocado oil, that would be great, and mayo. I did, okay, whew. Guys, I'm not paying attention. Usually, like I was saying, I do this stuff by myself normally, no one watching. So this is a new learning experience of having people watch me do it. So I'm just going to take my immersion blender right here, and I'm going to put it in here, and I have it on 1. I am going to turn it on, and then I'm going to slowly add my oil in, because if you add your oil in too quickly, you can break your mayo, which sounds so funny, but you can. So I am going to pour a little bit in to start. Oh. I had my other measuring cup because it had like a little lip on it. And we're just going to... Add a little more. we're just mixing this up and basically beating that egg. So 1 cup of oil and 1 egg, 1/4 pepper, 1/4 mustard, and salt. Yes. So Rebecca, I will post the recipe after my live on my page for you guys. She is graduating from Metro Culinary School here in Omaha, Nebraska, and she actually made it onto comp team. So she's actually a competition chef, which is super fun. You can also do this in a food processor as well. I'm actually going to add a little bit more egg in here because I used extra virgin and it's a little bit... Let's see. See if I can just add a little bit of white egg yolk here. I'm gonna try to get it in there. There we go. Okay. There we go. That's what it needed. We're getting a good texture now. Yeah, perfect mayo. So, I did end up adding an extra egg in here for some reason. It's good. Egg makes frothy. That's good mayo. So normally you wouldn't have, if you use like a white pepper, you wouldn't have the actual peppercorns in there, but I don't care if it's in there. Some people might be weirded out by it. It's fine. So, but if you use a different kind of oil, like canola oil or whatnot, it will have a little bit different, depending on what oil you use will have a different flavor. So when you use the olive oil, it definitely has a rich flavor. So that is how you make mayo. I'm gonna detach my mixer. And you guys, these are super cheap. So I'll post a link to this too. I got it on Amazon for like 26 bucks. And I use it all the time. It actually came with like a food processor bottom and a couple other attachments. I love this thing. It's been one of my favorite kitchen tools. So, I'll post this one too. It had a lot of cool attachments. So there you have it. We have mayo and butter. So yeah, you can see the little pepper in there, but it's fine. It's fine. So that's all I have for you tonight, you guys. Yes, homemade, and homemade butter on homemade bread. You just can't beat it. So, and then I don't know if you guys heard my story of the other night. Oh my gosh, you guys, I was not paying attention. I was super tired after work, but I really wanted to have cookies for the kids this last week. And I doubled my recipe and forgot that I doubled my recipe. So then I ended up doubling it again. And by the time I got to like the eggs, it needed like 8 eggs. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of eggs for this cookie recipe. And because it was the first time making this one, which ended up being a fantastic cookie recipe. So I'll share that with you guys. But I had to take out my stock pot because I didn't even have a bowl big enough for the cookie dough to even stir it, and it was so heavy. Then it needed 12 cups of flour. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have enough cookies forever. And I still have, which I probably will put a few in the oven tonight. But you guys, I packed this full of cookie dough. Like, it is so heavy. It is like full of cookie dough. I probably can make another like 6 dozen cookies out of this. I was like, oh my gosh. So we have like cookies coming out of our ears because I was not paying attention. So I totally had a failure. Well, I guess you could call it a failure. We just have a lot of epic amount of cookies, but it is what it is. So I actually Friday start vacation from work because I work corporate during the day. Friday I have off, so we're going to be crafting, and then I have 10 days off. So we are going to do some food storage and stocking. I want to make some white sauces and some stuff coming up while I'm on vacation. So I'll be going live during the day and night or whatever, kind of figure out when we're going to go live. But that is, I'm going to be off, so I want to get stuff stocked up. And then, of course, get ready to actually plant our garden and stuff. Somebody's here. So I'm going to go because somebody's at my door. But thanks for hanging out with me. Try butter. It's worth it. And make yourself some mayo. I do have Telegram. I do. But you guys have a good night, and I will be around, and I'll talk to you guys soon.